The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Wrestling with Johners, episode 216. I think it's 216 anyway, part of the Johners Podcasting Network. And today I'm joined by an awesome guest, the current and three-time Tidal Women's Champion, RHIO. So RHIO, how are you doing? And thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you for having me. Hope you're well as well. Hope you're all right.
We're all good. We're all good. And to our viewers watching live at home, if you want to get in touch and if you want to send RHIO any questions, any comments, please do so. Enter them into your chosen device and they'll ping through to us. And we'll do our very best to answer every single question live on air. But RHIO, I've got to start by asking you about your tremendous 2021 so far. I know that UK wrestling has really only opened its doors over the last 5, maybe 6 months. But after more than a year and a half, say, of UK wrestling kind of having closed its doors, you're back with a bang, aren't you? You're back and busier than ever. So 2021's been a good year for you so far.
It has actually, yeah. I wasn't really sure what to think when wrestling was first coming back. So I thought, oh, it's going to be one of those. People may not have the money, or people might be a bit scared to come out with COVID and everything being around. So it was one of those. I was hoping wrestling was going to, obviously succeed and do well. But I was worried, thinking, oh God, I hope the shows are going to be able to run. I hope we can build this back up, and have the fun that we used to have. So, but I never ever imagined it would be as busy as it is, though. It's insane. Yeah. Insane.
And we spoke a bit off air, and you're pretty much everywhere at the moment. And one promotion I want to talk about to kick things off is ICW. I mean, you've been featured in a bit of a feud with the She-Wolves, Casey Owens and Molly Spartan. Of course, you were part of that tournament to crown the new Women's World Champion. You did lose to Molly Spartan, obviously outside interference from Casey Owens, of course. But you did get your match at Fear and Loathing against Casey, a great match as well. Tell us about the show. Tell us about Fear and Loathing, because especially being ICW's first big show back in 2021, the first time since probably early 2020. So a big occasion, a big crowd, a big show, and a big match for yourself as well.
Yeah, to be honest, that was another thing I was thinking. Getting my ICW debut, which was supposed to happen pre-COVID, but then COVID hit. So that was all I had my mind on, was just get the debut over with and let's see how that goes. Let try everything give them everything I have and try everything I've got, and let's just see how that rolls. But then it snowballed so quickly. I was there again, then I was there again and again and again. And then when they asked me to do Fear and Loathing, my mind was blown. I was like, this year. So I was so excited to get to do the show like that, because I've seen loads of them in the past. I never had the chance to see them live, because even if I've had a wrestling show on or anything like that, but I remember seeing the matches in the past, and I just thought, this is me now on the opposite side. And then you get there and it's like an iconic venue for Glasgow, and the production is just that much more. You start to see the differences. So then to see your name in these big screens and there's lights, and that bit, it proper makes you freeze a minute and think, oh my God, I'm here. And yeah, do you know what? You do have that weird thing of, should I be here? But I think that's up to an individual to go, yes, I should. Or, if they say no, they shouldn't, then I don't know what they're doing. But everyone should be saying, you know what? Yeah, yes, I should be here. And this is exactly where I belong. So unfortunately, no spoilers, but didn't exactly pick up the win against Casey, which is disappointing to say the least. But I mean, my first Fear and Loathing, and it wasn't the easiest of matches that I could have had. So,
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen the match yet, so I can't wait to see your Fear and Loathing debut. And I've got my suspicions that Molly might have kind of got involved on the outside, but we shall not speculate about that. But you're no stranger to the She-Wolves, are you? Because you've got quite a bit of history with them from both sides of the fence.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, at TNT, I was actually part of the She-Wolves for a part of, like, an extended part of time. So yeah, it's not my first experience with them, and because of them, you know, I ended up the story of the red braid, the one red one that I have. So you know, this was the She-Wolves run ended. They kicked me out of the group, and in doing so, they couldn't, you know, being the She-Wolves, they couldn't just kick me out and that was it. They had to, you know, go below the belt and then cut one of my braids fully off. I mean, you know, go
That's
for
not
what is
on.
me. If anything people think of me, it's the purple braids, and then they're just cutting them off. So, you know, that one will always be there, and it'll always be a sign of, you know, just what they've done. And I'll never forget that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
But you could say it's a long kind of a good storyline there that you've had running throughout a few years now. But I mean, what I've noticed is, like I say, when you're in the ring with Molly, Casey was on the outside getting involved. I can only imagine at Fear and Loathing that Molly got involved as well at some stage during your match with Casey. I can't imagine, I don't think you can imagine that this program, this feud between yourself and the She-Wolves is over yet. Do you think there's one more match in it, and how would you like to see it go down?
I definitely think I think I would say more than one match, because I feel like I've got a lot of revenge that I need to get out on both of them. So,
oh yeah,
you know, yeah, definitely. So I feel like it's far from over, but you know, I'm one for a last woman standing or a no DQ. I don't want this to be a standard match. If we're going out with a bang. You know, we're going hard. So
oh,
yeah, I think
100%.
that would be my option.
I wouldn't expect anything less either. But just parking ICW to one side for a second, and we got to talk about Progress, because you made your Progress debut a month or two ago, and in particular against Lana Austin in the Revelations tournament. Another hard-hitting, really great match between the two of you for another leading promotion against someone that you know very well in Lana Austin. Tell us about your Progress experience, because like I say, ICW is a great promotion, and then Progress is on a, you know, the same, if not slightly higher level. It's got fans all over the world, considered one of the best independent promotions in the world. But you've had that first dip in the water, first toe in the water with Progress.
Yeah, that was a super fun one to do as well. Like, just the tournament itself, I've seen past tournaments and the natural progression series, so the lads version of the tournament. So I've always wanted to get involved in these tournaments, because I think it is just it's a marker of who is the up and coming talent, so who is the, you know, who are making the way up to the top ranks in the UK. And I think that is the perfect way to show that, is when you're involved in these tournaments with these bigger promotions. That's how you know you've got the eyes on you now, and it's up to me to run with it. So having my first match with Lana Austin, I mean, hey, why does no one ever want my life to be easy, you know?
not an easy opponent to make your debut with, is it?
That's it, yeah. You know, it's never easy. Like, it always has to be someone like that. But I have a lot of respect for Lana. I think she's done a lot for the females in British wrestling, especially anyone from the Northwest, which, you know, is me, and quite a lot of the other girls. Lana is very much an idol for us lot, and always someone who you can go to for any advice or anything you need. She is someone she's very approachable, so you can definitely go up to her. But yeah, she also will proper full on smash you in the face. So, you know, don't get too close maybe in some situations, which I think I found out in that match. She definitely walloped me a few times. So
absolutely, a hell of a match, and that's available for your fans to view on Peacock or the WWE Network. But a really great match, hard match, and you did pick up the win. You did progress to the next stage of the Revelations tournament, so can't wait to see how far you progress there. But one observation of mine, I hope I'm right in thinking this, but I've noticed that you've had certain wrestlers make their debut for ICW this year, certain wrestlers make their debut for Progress Wrestling this year. But I think you're the only wrestler to have made your debut in 2021 for both groups. Now, that's pretty cool, I think. I don't know if you'll be able to correct me on that, or whether I'm right on that, but I think if that is the case, that's pretty cool.
I think you are right, yeah. Looking at it, I think the Kings of the North, I know they are at both as well, but whether it was a debut, I'm not sure, because I think
they previously worked for ICW
yeah.
and Progress, so they made their debut a while back.
Debut-wise, I think it is just me.
There
just
you go.
little
Absolutely. I don't know if that kind of struck you when you were making these debuts, or when you went from ICW to Progress, but and that's a big deal, considering the stature of those two promotions, and you're the only one to have made your debut on both, so that's a big feather in your cap, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's definitely a bit more pressure than coming back. I thought, come back, I'll have a few matches, just get the feel of it again. Jesus, it's been like non-stop, but I wouldn't change it, I must admit, but it has been non-stop, and like every match is bigger and bigger. So when it comes to Tidal, it's for my championship matches, so it's not just a standard match there and then ICW. So I was in the tournament for that, I'm in the tournament for Progress, so they're all big meaningful matches, they're not just standard matches, and I think that adds to the pressure. But I am one of those, I always do think it's one of the, is it the saying that pressure can make diamonds? So it all depends on how you react to the situation. So.
Absolutely. And I think all of us would agree that you're reacting very, very well. And 2021 has been an awesome year for you. And speaking of debuts, Wrestle Carnival as well. And with the John's Podcasting Network being one of the sponsors to Wrestle Carnival, I've had the privilege of being at all the shows, and I've seen your two matches there as well. I think it was in October. You went up against Mercedes Blaze in a really, really hard fought match. And then only a few weeks ago, earlier on in November, you went up against Emerson Jane. Another really, really great match where you picked up a fantastic win there. Give us your kind of your thoughts on Wrestle Carnival, your journey with Wrestle Carnival so far.
I actually really like everything that Wrestle Carnival is doing. I like from the shows itself running to backstage. Everyone that you come across, they are so nice, and I have this connection with everyone at the minute. I think we're all on this kind of even par and this even playing field of just wanting the UK scene to be as good as it possibly can be, and rebuild it back to what it was, because with everything with COVID and stuff, it all slows it down, doesn't it? So I think everyone's in that mindset at the minute that we're going to be better, so we're pushing each other to be better. And that's the lads are pushing the girls are pushing the lads, everyone's pushing each other in such a positive way that it's so nice to be a part of. And Wrestle Carnival is one of those that you do have those people there that are wanting you to be better, and you've got that support system. So my experiences at Wrestle Carnival they've just been great so far. But the only thing is, though, I must admit, I feel a little bit like this is again the story of my life. So the last show was supposed to be the tag match, and I show up thinking I'm gonna have this tag match, but it might change about 8 times, but nevertheless I'm getting myself prepared for a tag match. Next thing you know, oh no, you're just in a singles with Emerson Jane of all people. I was like, oh, come on. Like, it's a dream match for me, but it was one of those I was like, I would have liked a little bit more.
It's like the Lana Austin scenario all over again, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. Just keep throwing me in with these people who have been exceptional for years, just keep throwing me in these tough battles with people that I look up to, and, girls that you can definitely say have really brought up the scene for the UK girls. So just keep throwing me in with these unexpectedly.
That just goes to show how highly regarded you are in the UK scene at the moment by all the promoters, by the sounds of it. I mean, Wrestle Carnival, they do have a real focus on women's wrestling. I mean, going through the last 4 match cards, I think there's just as many women's matches on each of those cards than there was any men's matches. So it's a real focus. And of course, we've got the championship tournaments happening in January the 30th from the Portland Center. The men's and the women's championship will be on the line. I don't know if it's been formally announced that you're going to be part of that tournament yet, but I'm sure that's something you'd really like to get your teeth into, especially with a group like Wrestle Carnival and women's wrestling being so high on their agenda.
Definitely, yeah. It is nice to see more promotions having the women's matches, like having 2 or 3 women's matches. And it's nice that it doesn't feel like it just has to be. Like with Wrestle Carnival, it doesn't feel like they're doing it because they feel they need to. You don't get that pity thing of, well, go on, we'll put 2 on for you. With Wrestle Carnival, they're putting these women's matches on because the women in these matches are proving themselves up and down the country week after week, night after night. And people want to see these women. these matches are what people are paying to see. It's not just well, go on then. We'll put you in a few matches. So it is nice that they are one of those places that just value the women that they have and the women that they bring in. So that's really nice. But I would definitely be looking to get myself into that tournament, because I'm in these tournaments at the minute. Come on, give me the shout. This tournament is where I'm at.
Absolutely. It's been a year of tournaments for you, and one more would be fantastic and a great way to start 2022 as well. But the last 5 or 6 years, there seems to be this crop of UK female talent that all seem to be coming up together to the point now where they're kind of at the very top of the UK scene. The likes of yourself and Giselle Shaws, Lizzie Evos, Alexis Falcons, Heidi Katrinas, and the She-Wolves, the Kanjis. A real brilliant crop, and so many more that I haven't mentioned, but a real brilliant crop that seems to have come up over the last 4, 5, 6 years, including yourself. And now you're all at this really, really high level. That must make you pretty proud, not only for yourself, but for your friends that you've come up in the business with.
Yeah, definitely. Because like you say, we're all coming up together, which makes it better. It's not one of those where you feel like, oh, there's girls that are way up here and then there's girls that are here. We're all coming up together, and there's a really nice, genuine, honest support system. No one's trying to, knock someone else out of the way to get to their spot. We are all competing for the same spots, essentially. So we all understand that. But if you can't get to those spots by being good enough yourself, then you don't deserve to be there. Simple. Because I think that every girl at the minute has this thing of, if I'm not there, what do I need to do to be there? No one's sitting and complaining. Everyone's working hard and, supporting each other. And right, what do I need to do to get there? What do I need to do? And it's just, everyone is just being such a great support system for each other at the minute. And I think that's what's needed, because this is what will build it stronger. So I think the friendship and the bonds between the girls at the minute, it's nice. It's a nice feeling. You look forward to seeing the girls at the show and, sharing your changing rooms together and everything. It's just, it's nice, and you are generally really excited to see them. It's not like, oh God, show there again this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of unity and solidarity. I mean, certainly from what I've seen backstage, and in my personal opinion, this might just be my opinion, but I think women's wrestling in the UK is as good and as best as it's ever been, and as strong as it's ever been.
100%. I completely agree with that, because I think the UK women's wrestling scene has always been strong, but it's always had, I think it's always been a case of, you've got, like I said before, you've got your strong ones, and then it kind of pecks down with a lot. There's this now, we've got this level of women that are all strong competitors, and we all just hit as hard as each other. I think it's become like a contest for each other. One of us gets hit and you think, oh, all right, I see how this is going to be, and you hit back just as hard, and it's just to see who can hit harder. So, none of us are shying away from anything. And if anything, the lads want to be scared because we're coming for them, We're not going to ease up on them either. So
I mean, the competition, though, the competition is just lifting the UK scene and lifting the women's scene. And I think, the harder you hit, the more they're going to want to come back and hit harder. And like I say, I'm just really, really impressed with everything that the UK women's scene is doing at the moment. I think you hear about great women's divisions, great women's rosters. I think collectively the UK women's scene is up there with the best, the very, very best. But before we continue, Rio, I need to throw out a quick plug, a quick shout out to our sponsors, 1310 Apparel, proud sponsors of the Johners Podcasting Network and this very podcast, Wrestling with Johners, of course. And if you head over to their Wrestle Merch Central store, you will see their exclusive hardcore range, their exclusive 1310 Lucha range, and their more traditional Four Corners 1310 apparel. They do sponsor, besides this very podcast, some of the best and most well-known wrestlers in the UK scene, like the aforementioned Heidi Katrina, Northwest Strong's Chris Ridgway, and of course this very podcast. So you could take advantage of our deal with 1310 Apparel. Head over to their global store at 1310.merch.global, or click in the link to the description of this podcast, whether you're watching us live, listening to us, or watching the YouTube video back somewhere down the line, and use the promo code, use the discount code 1310WMC to get yourself 10% discount off of all of that wonderful swag. 1310 Apparel are wonderful, brilliant sponsors to this podcast, and we are proud to be a part of their journey. But Rio, back over to us now. I want to bring up a picture here, and this is from one of your Instagram posts. I hope you don't mind, but these 5 individuals are big inspirations, influences on you, whether it be as a wrestling fan or as a wannabe wrestler, and now as a kind of a 5 or 6 years in the business. But you've got Steve Austin there, many people's favorite, Eddie Guerrero, Jeff Hardy, Chris Jericho, and Bull Nakano. Bull Nakano, one of my favorites. I remember seeing her back in 1994 on a UK tour. But to tell us about those 5 individuals and why they were so important on your wrestling fandom, and maybe, you know, wanting to get involved in the business yourself.
I think it's the characters that they have that you can feel like, oh, so attached to. Like everyone loves the smashing of the cans together. Like it's so good, and I just think you can see with like Stone Cold the attitude and everything, and the way he walks in is this I don't care attitude, and I just love that. I just love the way he walked in, and no matter who was stood in the ring like across from him, he's like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm here to fight with you. So, you know, and then like Chris Jericho is just one of those. He can just make anything work. I feel like you can literally give him something, and he would make it funny, or he would make it dramatic, or whatever his intention was to do with that, he can do it. Like I think his stuff now in AEW, I love it. Like the Demo God stuff and the Champion, like it's just getting better. So I love the stuff he's doing. Jeff Hardy, I've always loved him, especially the entrance. I always used to try and do that. Don't think I ever looked as cool as Jeff Hardy doing it, but
he's still performing now. He's still doing great stuff now, and I think at the Survivor Series a few nights ago. Fantastic, yeah. He hasn't aged a day in 25 years in the business. So yeah.
No, and I don't know how with the matches he has and the things he does.
Oh, it's such a physical
how he
style.
Looks like that is beyond me.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He has some kind of secret going on, and then I think everyone loves the whole, like, you know, the cheeky chap of Eddie Guerrero and everything about, like, the famous, you know, if he chucks his belt at you and then he's on the floor, and I think it's just so good. It's so creative, and then Bull Nakano was I'd say a special one for me, because when I was watching wrestling, you'd have Trish Stratus and stuff like that, and as great as they are, they were just they were super pretty, and they had lovely figures and stuff like that. So I think when I looked at Bull Nakano, I was like, wow, this is how some female wrestlers can look. You know, sometimes I think with now, like society, social media and stuff, you are kind of shown this group of people that are an ideal way to look. And I think that was always a thing when you saw like Trish Stratus and, you know, Tori Wilson and things like that, you know, really beautiful women, talented still, but just like really beautiful and perfect figures. And then I just love the fact that when I used to go on YouTube, when I started really looking into wrestling, and I saw Bull Nakano, and I was just like, wow, like when she, as soon as her music hit and she walked in, the presence that she had, I was like, that is sensational. And she gets in the ring and you think, oh, let's see what she can do. And then she just do stuff that I'm like, what, you can, that is amazing. How are you doing that? And I think she just defied everything that she, you know, was ever put against her. I think she's always one of those that people might go, oh, she won't be able to do that. And then she did.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like,
wrestler.
Yeah, just like she was just so different, and I love that about her. Because then I went to love Beth Phoenix after that as well, because I love the fact that she wasn't just, you know, she did the muscles and shoot and China and, you know, women like that were like, well, actually, this is how I look. And then they made that work because it was so natural, and a lot of people could relate to that. You know, they're not a lot of people are size 6 or whatever, you know, but they made it work. And you just got to, you know, you do have to look up to those kind of people that you can especially relate to.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
What was that spark that eventually inspired you to start your training as a pro wrestler?
I always loved it. You know, like I watched it as a kid and stuff when I first got involved in it, like watching it. I always used to think like, well, how do they do that? It's like, it was good because it was the athleticism and the kind of hard hitting impact that I liked from sports, but also with the characters and the drama that I've always loved in kind of, you know, when you watch films or anything like that. I just love the drama that builds. I love to watch something where I feel like, wow, something's building here. So I think the wrestling was perfect because it can like combine the both of them. And I was like, this is, you know, sports and theatre, I guess, or acting, drama, whatever people want to call it. I thought for me, it was perfect. So I thought, well, I tried to find a school, but I think it was Future Shop when I was like 14.
Right.
But at the time, it wasn't feasible because my mum was working, so she couldn't take me to training and stuff. So I'd have to get like a coach from Preston to Manchester. And with the times of training and stuff, it would have been late me coming back on my own and things like that. So at the time, as much as I wanted to, it just wasn't the right time. And then,
of course.
So I saw a school had opened in Preston when I was a bit older, and then I could drive then as well. So it just made, you know, leaving training at 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. or whatever when it's going dark, it made that a lot easier for me. So when I found out that there was a school opened, I thought, well, you know, I've always been one. Let's just give it a go and see what happens, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And I know we spoke a bit off air, and you're kind of heavily into your sports, whether it was at school or maybe even currently. But am I right in thinking that you used to do a lot of Taekwondo and Karate?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I did both Taekwondo and Karate. And I liked it, but the thing was, I wanted to get more involved. I wanted to be like, you know, in training. So you do your strikes and everything, and you're just doing that repeatedly. And for me, I was like, no, I want to get in there. I want to kind of spar with someone. And it wasn't, the classes I was going to wasn't really like that. I don't know if it's because I was younger or I don't know what the reason was, but it was just kind of it was going through the motion where I wanted to actually go in and have these matches with people and, you know, do that kind of stuff. I think it was all because I wanted to do like stuff that Jet Li and Jackie Chan could do. I don't think I realised that was not necessarily that's not going to happen in a standard karate class, like running up the wall and things like that, you know.
Yeah, but as a pro wrestler, you know, you can think out the box and do all sorts, can't you, really? But have you ever incorporated any of your combat sports or martial arts into your pro wrestling?
Do you know what? I haven't really, because I guess I could involve more like kicks and things like that. You know, I'll have an odd kick, but not really, no. I think it's been quite some years since I've done karate and taekwondo now. So I think I use what is my strength now, which is my strength essentially. So I just use the fact that I'd rather just throw someone around. I find that a lot more fun. So I go off that
100%.
instead.
Absolutely.
Hard hitting.
Yeah. Now, am I right in thinking, now you might have to kind of cast your mind back here, but one of your first ever matches, I think, now please correct me if I'm wrong, was a mixed tag match alongside Yiston Reese at the Preston Guildhall for PCW. It doesn't get much bigger than that as one of your first ever matches.
Yeah, I think I was maybe about a year in, but the difference was I was training, so maybe it was one of my first few matches actually, if I think about it, because while I was training, I would be valeting for Yeston, so I'd come out with Yeston and we'd, you know, I'd watch him wrestle and obviously there if he needed me, but with someone his size and his ability, he didn't really need me that often. So I was there, you know, there if needed, but it was just nice to put on some sparkly dresses and walk out for my first kind of, you know, showing of independent wrestling, because I didn't really know too much about independent wrestling before that. So, you know, my first look at a wrestling crowd and how they would react to me, and it, you know, it taught me a lot from that. So it probably, I think it probably was one of my first few. Like I say, even though I'd been training, say, a year or a year and a half, whatever it was, I wasn't wrestling as many matches because I was always with Yeston. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, again, you know, I could keep telling you, people just throw me in these situations. It's never an easy ride. First few matches, mixed tag. Yeah, go on then. Everyone else is and here I am a year and a half in, stumbling across.
Absolutely. Well, I know in 2016 you had a handful of matches, but 2017 was a real breakout year for you, I've got to say. You might only have been a year or two into the business, but 2017, you had a ton of great matches, a ton of great opponents. You also was involved in the title program for PCW for the Women's Championship, and finally captured your first PCW Women's Championship at the tail end of 2017. That must have capped off what was a brilliant year for you. I mean, we spoke about one of your first matches in a mixed tag match with Yeston Reese in 2016, but 2017, it almost seemed like that was the year where they just, you know, popped the cap off the bottle, basically.
Yeah, that was like a really standout year for me, and that championship win will always be probably one of my most important ones, and probably the one I'll always cherish forever, just because that one in particular, it was a hometown situation. It's a home promotion, a home crowd, and it was my first ever one. It's the one that I've trained at and how I built myself there. So, to win something so home orientated, or it's just on another, like that, the feeling is something that you'll always remember. And getting to take my belt home and show my mom,
Awesome.
show my mom, like, look what I won. So she's still got the picture now as well. She took a picture with me with it, and she's still got it. I think it's like a phone screensaver or whatever it is. So she's still got that as well. But it'll always be a special one for me, that one.
Absolutely. And then you like I say, you're already the champion. You go into 2018, and there's two feuds in particular that stand out in 2018 for yourself. The first one is your kind of championship feud with Viper. Now, tell us about that, because looking back now, that must have been pretty cool for you, especially still being fairly new in the business, holding your first championship, and then being in a program with a female performer such as Viper, one of the biggest names in the UK scene, now doing great things in WWE. How was that? I think for the first 4 or 5 months of the year, you was in that program with Viper. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was so much fun. I couldn't believe when it got announced. I was like, I can't believe this is you're bringing in this person to wrestle me. This is when does that happen? Because I just thought it would be local girls from maybe Manchester or whatever, the closest next one, maybe Blackburn or wherever someone may have been coming from. So for it to be Viper, who at the time, and at this point I knew about ICW and stuff, so I've seen her have all these killer matches with Kaylee Ray, and being, like you say, being one of the top females in the UK, I was like, this is insane. I'm getting to do this. And again, Viper's one of those who, she reminded me of Bull Nakano, because she had her athleticism and everything about her. She is her, and that's, she doesn't care what people think in that way. So I just love the fact that she's not your typical everyday girl, but she's just so incredibly athletic and fast. That's one thing that got me, how fast she was, because I know there's a few times that she'd, like, if I'd hit her, I think, that's it, I'm getting there. Before I'd even really fully registered, she was coming back at me, and she was coming back at me 10 times harder than I was going at her. So I did learn a lot from wrestling with Viper, I must admit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I say, I got to talk about Nightshade, because you went straight from Viper to a kind of the second half of 2018, a brilliant feud, an epic feud with Nightshade over the PCW Women's Championship. And I'm just going to reel off some of the matches you had with her here. We've got, let's see, a Falls Count Anywhere match, a ladder match, a blindfold match, and a last woman standing match to cap off that year, to cap off 2018. Tell us about that feud and some of the matches you had with Nightshade, because to have one gimmick match like that would probably make somebody's year. Then you have 4 amazing gimmick matches with that individual. That's just mind blowing, and some great matches as well.
Yeah, that was really fun, because Nightshade was another one. She was similar to me, as in, I think she was starting to come up around her area as well, because I think she's from Buckinghamshire, so she was starting to get kind of a lot of attention on, like, down south, and I was starting to get there in the north. So we had this kind of mutual similarities in what we were doing. We were both, kind of trying to establish ourselves as, people up and comers, and, people who are looking to be the top females in the UK in coming years. So I think for us, there was a lot of pressure on that, because we both had the same kind of destination that we wanted to get to. But yeah, like, it's difficult, because they start, I'm doing things that Nightshade knows what's happening then, because she's wrestled me 50 million times by this point. So how do you possibly wrestle someone who it feels like they know you, like what you're doing, and know you better than you know yourself? If I was thinking of something, I feel like she knew what I was thinking, but at the same time, I felt I knew what she was thinking at the same time. So it got to the end, it was just hard. It was so back and forth, and everything was, it got faster and faster and faster, because we knew what each other were, what we're up to. And I know what she thinks. There's a few times that she kind of cheated me out of stuff, and I knew something was coming. Very much like when I wrestle the She-Wolves, I'm always very much I'm expecting something. I'm not going to go into it stupid and think, oh, this is going to be fair and equal. So, yeah, it was good. But like the matches, like the ladder match was in the tower, Blackpool Tower as well, the circus. So not only is it, a ladder match, but it's also in one of the most prestigious places, really, in the Northwest. Everyone knows that the Blackpool Tower, and it's, it's famous ballroom.
Absolutely.
The Blackpool Tower Circus. So for it to be there as well, it was that much better. And honestly, it was so many people there and so many kids, and it was so loud. So it can be difficult to get your bearings because you're thinking, right, where's Nightshade? What's she up to? I also want to make sure that I'm going to keep my championship here. While all these people screaming, and you think, oh my, like it's knowing where you are. You get, I found myself getting quite disorientated because there was a lot of, there was the ladders were there, Nightshade's there. There's people screaming in my ear. There was just so much for me at that point. I'd never experienced anything like that before, so it was all like new to me. So to get, all those matches, all of them were new to me at the time. I'd never done any matches like I say, a ladder match, a blindfold match. It was, that one. I'm thinking, how do you wrestle with a blindfold on?
Did you have to watch WrestleMania 7 to see Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel as your research?
I did, and then I was thinking, right, no one better be bringing those snakes out here. If I start hearing some hissing, I'm off. Don't know how I'll find where I'm going, but I'm off. That's it. I'm gone. But yeah, that was a surreal one because it's not something that you can practice in training either.
No.
Like you train and you'll practice this, that, and the other. It's not, at my training school anyway, we don't, put blindfolds on and start trying to find each other and hit each other with not being able to see. So that one was like a surreal one because I'd never ever even seen anything like it other than the WrestleMania one. But I must admit I did have to look that up because I'd never seen that one before. So I was thinking, how does this work?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, besides your match and the Jake Roberts Rick Martel match from WrestleMania 7, I don't think there probably has been other blindfold matches, but none that I'm aware of. So, but that's pretty cool, pretty unique. And out of those kind of 4 gimmick matches, which one did you enjoy the most?
I think I'd have to do the last woman standing. I think, just because I think it's what that means. It's the ladder match was fun. That was really fun, and the blindfold one was just crazy. But I think for me, like a last woman standing, that is a definitive. This is the end. The winner of this, I feel like that's always a full stop.
Yeah.
So for me, that was it. It was this. The winner of this is the better woman. This is how this ends.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So for me, it's just. I think I just love the fact that there is no other way. That you can't argue with that. You can't argue that match at all. So
100%. And we've spoken a lot about ICW and Wrestle Carnival Progress and PCW, but we haven't spoken a lot about Tidal. Now, I know that for the last 3 or so years, Tidal's been, some might say you're home, to be honest with you. You've wrestled a lot for Tidal. You're a 3-time women's champion. But your first women's championship win was against Mia Yim. Is that right? I mean, we've spoke several times about being thrown into these situations with the big matches and the big names. That's another example. And like I say, winning your first Tidal championship against somebody of the stature of Mia Yim, another brilliant moment for you.
Well, actually, see, there's a twist on that one. So it was supposed to be Mia Yim, but she got signed. So this was around the time of the Mae Young Classic, when everyone was asking to get a sign.
I know it very well.
Snapped up. That was then. So she could never actually come back and defend it because she'd got signed there and then.
Right.
So my match was actually, she left this match in the capable hands of Session Moth Martina, which was still no easy feat. It's still,
no way.
that match was different in its own way, but yeah, that was actually the match in the end. So as much as I'd love to have wrestled Mia Yim, she is one, and I guess at the minute it is back a possibility again, and
she's back on the scene. Yeah,
she could potentially want to come back and get that title that I guess she would say she never lost.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah,
it's always a chance, but yeah, it was Session Moth Martina that I won. I beat.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bring up another picture here. And like I say, I mean, Becky Lynch used to call herself Becky Two Bouts a couple of years back. But you got 3 championships there. So I guess that's a Tidal Women's Championship. What are the other two bouts? Just enlighten me there.
So the red one is the Tidal Open Championship.
That's
and
right.
then the white one around my waist was the BEW Shooting Star Champion.
That's
which
pretty
I was
cool.
the inaugural champion for.
That's pretty cool. And like I say, just looking at that, you know, what was that? Probably a couple of years ago, 2019, I should imagine. That's a great image, but also must fill you with a lot of pride and a lot of joy to say that you accomplished all of that in a short space of time.
Yeah, I'm always very proud when I'm looking at this picture, because I do have that one on my phone as well. And I think for me, it represents my move and my growth as a professional wrestler, and in my career of where I started, and now I'm stepping up the ranks, and I'm stepping up and I'm getting championships in other places. You know, to Leeds is an hour and a half from me.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was stretching out to there, and then to get one in London, like that, I used to get the megabus down there, so it's like 7 hours for me to get there. So, you know, and to be able to represent that, you know, the different locations. But I think the Tidal ones always hold a special place in my heart. Like you said, Tidal is my home now. Absolutely. It is very much my home, and I do have a lot of love for Tidal. But to have the open one as well was fun. I liked being the champ at Tidal. That was good. It's something that I'm wanting to do again. So
100%.
Hopefully champ once again.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. But I want to talk to you about your WWE experience now, because I think it was probably at the midpoint of 2019 when you had a WWE Trial, if I'm not mistaken, at the UK Performance Centre. So tell us about that, because such a fantastic crop of UK talent went down there all at the same time. You can see a lot of the faces there that really, really stand out. And like I say, so you're being spoken to there by William Regal and your kind of promo pick in front of the banner there. But a great opportunity, a great experience, and such a valuable learning experience as well for yourself, I should imagine.
100%, yeah. I think everyone knows that William Regal is very knowledgeable of this business. Everyone knows that, but you don't understand the extent until you talk to him, because you can give him something so simple and he could talk for hours on it, but you don't ever, you know, you don't realize the time that's gone, because he just talks with so much passion behind him. So he'll say things and he'll break everything down for you. He doesn't mind you asking questions, and he doesn't mind you being like, so what does this mean, and what can I do, and all that. You know, he's so willing and wanting to help anyone who will listen. Basically, if you give him your time, he will give it back. That's the vibe that I got from William Regal. Is he will happily sit with you for 10 hours and explain something. If you're not getting it, he'll sit there and explain it to you until you do. Just make sure you're listening to him. As long as you're listening and investing your time and making sure you're not wasting his time, he's more than happy to help. And it was so amazing just to have every single thing that you're doing broken down, because then you start to see the really small things that you'd maybe miss usually, and then you'd be like, okay, I see why you do that. Why am I doing that? And you do start to ask yourself those more complicated questions, and you start getting really nitpicky with yourself then, and then you do start to feel the growth when you're wrestling someone and you think, I learned from what he told me, and I tried this and it worked. Or it's things like that. But the actual performance center itself as well it's amazing. That facility is amazing. So anyone who gets to be down there currently or go down there, they're definitely gonna feel like the full shock of it. It is just, I haven't got words for it, because it is, when you see the YouTube ones of the American one, it is that, like how you see that is exactly the UK one. You've got 2 or 3 wrestling rings, you've got all of the equipment. It's as prestigious as it seems. So it was really good, but it was an eye-opener in a way as well, because if I'm honest with you, I thought I was ready when I went down there, and that opened my eyes that I wasn't anywhere near ready when I went down there. But that's what you're there to do, isn't it? You go down there, you see what they get to tell you basically from their point of view what's going on, and where they see you and stuff. So for me, I only realized later on that, do you know what, when I went down there, I I wasn't half as ready as I thought I was.
Yeah.
So looking at me now and looking at me then, it's just completely different. Completely different.
And when you're speaking to William Regal and spending that valuable time with him, once in a lifetime opportunity to kind of really pick the brains of one of the best minds in the business, and I'm guessing not all of it's sinking in, but probably weeks, months, maybe years down the line, something just kind of, I don't know, a light bulb goes off and you think, I get it now. And did you have any of those moments where, you know, some of that knowledge kind of sunk in and it all started to make sense eventually?
Yeah, there'd be matches or scenarios that would happen, and I'd think, okay, so this is what he meant when he said that. And I think sometimes you don't know until you go through something, because someone can tell you, oh, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But then you go through it and you go, oh, then it starts to click a bit, and it starts to really kind of, you know, become clear to you. Yeah. So there's definitely, I think, as the more matches that I did before, like COVID shut everything down, I was starting to see the little bits. But then I think during COVID, I had a lot of time to sit and reflect on. I think because from me starting out, like you say, it was so fast. Everything happened so fast, and going to this wrestling promotion and then winning this belt and this. It all, like, very much like after COVID, like now, everything is moving so fast for me that sometimes I don't see things and I miss them. So COVID gave me that reflection time to be where I was and where I want to be. What do I need to do? And, you know, what things need to change. And I think at the minute now, like right as this minute, like I am starting, that light bulb is starting to get brighter and brighter as in every match that's happening, I feel more and more knowledgeable, and I feel more and more like I'm getting it, you know. So that's really fun. Like now being in that position where I feel every match I feel like I'm improving so much more with every match, because I'm learning from the girls that I'm in there with, and then I'm utilizing what the things I reflected on. And so I think at the minute it is happening for me. That whole light bulb moment is happening right now.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. And part of that whole WWE Trial experience, you also performed at a Download Festival, and it was the #1 Contenders Battle Royal for the NXT UK Women's Championship. And you was in there with some awesome performers, but there was the likes of yourself and Candy Floss and Kanji, who were part of that tryout amongst the NXT UK women's roster regulars. How was that experience, wrestling at the Download Festival in that awesome Battle Royal? And must have been a bit of a thrill for you, a bit of a pinch yourself moment as well.
It was, yeah, definitely. To know that, you know, you got like the sticker to say WWE talent, and I just thought, yeah, look at this. This is me. This is my, you know, this sticker belongs to me, kind of thing. But then being in there, you know, being in the presence of Rhea Ripley now, who's gone on to do amazing things. You're there with Toni Storm, there's Kaylee Ray, there's Viper. You know, there's all these women that are literally now main roster, and are the new generation of women that are going to be leading the WWE for the next 10, 15 years, maybe, or more, or however long they want to be. You know, they are the girls that are all going to be giving Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks and everything a run for the money. I think Toni already is at the minute. I think she's got this whole feud going on with Charlotte Flair. So, you know, it's just about time. Kaylee Ray, I think, is going to really show in NXT as well what she can do and what she brings to the table. If people are crazy enough to have not already seen Kaylee Ray, then, you know, they're going to be amazed by the stuff she can do as well.
So to be blown away.
Yeah, and then to be in there with Alpha Female, she's just, you know, she's very strong.
We love Jazzy Gabbert on this show. She was a guest of ours back in February, but such an amazing person. And I've got to ask a bit of a cheeky question, but, you know, is NXT kind of on the horizon? Is it something you'd like to pursue? Is NXT UK a passion of yours or a dream of yours, something you'd like to get involved with?
Definitely, yeah. I think for me, it's one of those. I do think if anyone's seen the Drake Maverick Rockstar Spud recent video on Twitter about being a professional wrestler, I think that did hit home for me. As much as I'd love to be signed at any big company, because ultimately I want to be a professional wrestler full time, and that's, you know, that's what I want for my life. I want to be doing that. I want to be having matches every weekend and not worrying about going to your full-time job to fund it or whatever, because, you know, a lot of wrestlers that you'll see on the indies do have jobs at the minute, especially with COVID. You know, obviously wrestling was an income for some people, and then has been cut off. So for me, I'd love to be signed by any company, but I do think NXT UK I'd love to go there. I'd love to go to AEW. I'd love to go to Impact. Any of them. I just want to wrestle. So for me, I think I just want to be a professional wrestler, and wherever that may be, that'll be the that'll be the one that I go for. So hopefully it's just a matter of time. But I am very much a believer of, I think when I'm ready, that's when time will let me know. I might think I'm ready now, or might have thought I was ready 3 years ago, but I think when I'm there, it'll all happen for, everything happens for a reason kind of thing. So.
Oh, totally. And the final thing on your WWE experience for now, but I've got to bring up this picture. Look at that there, part of No Way Jose's Conga line. Tell us about that. How did that come about? And that looks like a ton of fun. I can see, I think, Dean Allmark at the back there, but you're over on the left. It looks like a great experience and a lot of fun for yourself.
It was actually. It was super fun. So it was really that was like a really crazy moment, because we were stood in the gorilla waiting to go out for No Way Jose. So before this, they've just literally given us all of these clothes and gone, look, this is the Conga clothes, everyone pick what you want to wear kind of thing. And then so we're waiting, and his opponent had gone out, so we're waiting with No Way Jose. And then I remember just looking to my left, and I saw Vince McMahon just sat there with his headset on and on, ready. And you just think, oh my God, he's sat right there. Is he looking at me? And I'm stood there in a Conga outfit, not exactly my best moment clothes wise, it wasn't like my most fashionable time. But yeah, that was so much fun and so crazy just to go out there and see that massive people. Because at that point, that was the biggest thing I'd ever seen as well. So like I talked about earlier about the fear and loathing and the screens and the production. Well, that's it on an even bigger scale.
Yeah.
So to go out there and all of these people, but it moved a lot quicker than I thought as well, because you're getting ready to go out, and then all of a sudden it just shoots forward. You got to hold on, that tested my Conga skills, that did.
Oh, that's fantastic. But I had to bring up that picture. That's such a fantastic picture. So we're getting close to winding down this interview then, Rio. But a couple of final questions from me. Then we've got some listener questions. But over the last 5 or 6 years, and like I say, you can cut out COVID, and probably closer to 4.5 years, we've spoken about a lot of amazing matches you've had, a lot of amazing opponents. But are there any other matches or programs or opponents that you've had that you're really, really proud of, that will stick with you for a long time, that you want to kind of mention?
Definitely. I think recently me and Ivy had the no disqualification match at Tidal for my women's championship, and that was a tough one, because Ivy is one of those, she is really just shot out of nowhere as well. She's one of those that she has just appeared. That's what it feels like to me anyway. She's just appeared and she is going nowhere. Any girl is stupid if you think that you can just push her to the side, or if you think that she's going to be here for 2 minutes, you're wrong. Ivy's an insanely talented girl, a bit lethal with a bat as well, so try and make sure she's not got any of them in her hands or whatever. But that match with Ivy, I really enjoyed it, because it was just it was that whole situation of both being girls that hit hard and pushed each other further. And it's nice to be in matches like that where you can feel like you're really making me work for this. This isn't an easy ride. As much as I say, it would be nice to have an easy match, I do enjoy being challenged and stuff, and having competition that's worth me doing it. If it was easy, it wouldn't be really any fun, would it? I guess so.
No way, no. And I've got to back you up on what you said about Ivy. I've seen a few Ivy matches, and she just seems to be getting better and better. And I think the last time I saw her, she had an epic match against Lana Austin at the last Wrestle Carnival show, and that was amazing. That was a great match. But please continue.
Yeah, any matches that I'm in with Lizzie as well. Lizzie is known for her aggression as well, so it's our different styles that I think it's always super fun. Both two girls from the Northwest in particular, so I always love wrestling Lizzie as well. She is someone who will really, test your mental state, I think, when you're in with her, because she doesn't come here to mess around. She has the same mentality as me.
She's all business.
Yes, and she'll have it short but sweet. She would rather rag your hair out and kick your head in and then have done with it. And be off, and she's another one who's on a streak with championships at the minute. So yeah, she's another one I've really enjoyed.
Absolutely.
Sammy Jane, I love that one. Emerson Jane, because she was one of my dream matches. So that has been super cool. Trying to think of some of the other ones. I've had some really, really good matches, and I'm just now gone blank. And obviously the She-Wolves, that Casey and Molly always do bring out the aggressive side of me that needs to come out sometimes, and whether that's the fact that there's two of them or the way they wrestle. Again, all these girls are insanely talented, so it's no match is ever easy, and a match with Molly and Casey is not going to be an easy match. It's never an easy night.
No,
so
definitely not.
Yeah,
but you're used to that by now. You're used to being put in difficult situations, as we've established. But you've reeled off some brilliant names there for sure. But the first of our listener questions, then, Rio. So from Andrew Lloyd via Twitter, he's actually given us a two-parter. So what is more fun, being a face or being a heel or a fan favorite? So have you got a preference as far as being a heel or a fan favorite?
Do you know what? It used to be a heel for me. But then, actually, when I started to not be the face that I thought other people wanted and be me, which is naturally just, when I say I'm like a face or a heel, like, for me, I'm just, at the minute, I'm being me. And that's the most natural one. And that's the most fun one for me to do. So sometimes, if I do a heel thing, that's always fun. Winding people up's a bit fun, isn't it? Everyone loves a bit, everyone loves a wind up, so that's always fun. But being at the minute, like the position I am, I think a lot of people would consider me a face in a lot of places, but I'm me as a face, which that's fun as well. So to be honest, I love both of them.
For different reasons.
Face, though, not the me like 2019 face me. No, that one no.
That's
but the
really
one
cool.
that I am now, yeah.
That's really cool. And part two of Adrian's question: if Rio could face anyone in the UK that you've not faced so far, who would it be, and what kind of match would you like it to be?
Anyone in the UK? Oh God, that's a good one.
That is.
So many talented girls, isn't there, that you can pick from? Let me see.
Have you wrestled Chantel Jordan yet? Chantel Jordan, have you wrestled her yet?
Yeah, where have I wrestled? I have wrestled Chantel Jordan. I'd love to do that again, bearing in mind.
Yeah.
But I have wrestled Chantel Jordan. I can't think where it was though, which is not great. I think that might have been though part of a four-way match. So I don't think I've wrestled Chantel in the singles. So I think we've always been involved in, I think it was just that one match and it was a four-way match. So if
that could be something. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Chantel Jordan or Ava White from down south at the minute. She's really starting to come up, and we've actually trained a few times together as well. So it would be good to, go against each other, and we could, and it's fun to see what she uses from our training sessions and what I'd use and stuff like that. So yeah, Chantel Jordan or Ava White, I'd love to wrestle any of those girls.
Good answer. Next question from Isaac, who's one of the Such Good Shoot podcast via Twitter. Question for Rio: what's it like wrestling in Manchester or the Northwest compared to other major cities? So I know you mentioned that you've wrestled in London and pretty much all over the UK and of course in Scotland. But is there a difference? And I know that you're kind of a Northwest girl and from Preston. So is there a difference wrestling in different major cities around the UK?
I think there is, yeah. Like when you go somewhere, I think like London have a lot of bigger venues. I'd say they tend to use the bigger venues and everything like that. But no, I prefer wrestling in the North. I know this might, some people might not like to hear that, but I hate the tube. I hate having to lug my suitcase around on the bloody tube. Oh man, it's
claustrophobic, too busy. Yeah.
Sweaty and weird, signal. Oh, I just don't like it. I don't like that. I like the North. The North is where I feel most comfortable. So, it doesn't take too long. Manchester's going very one way with traffic. That's a little annoying, I must admit. But I just prefer wrestling in the North so much more.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. We won't press you anymore on that. A question that's just come through via YouTube, as a matter of fact. RHIO is fantastic. Can you tell her that she's the hardest working wrestler, as she could be seen everywhere up north and down south? So more of a fan appreciation there from Vauxhall X via YouTube. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you so much for that. That's, you know, it's still nice to hear people say things like that. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
There we go. And the final fan question or listener question from Ashley Clements, big friend of the show. What are your goals for 2022? So, like I say, Christmas around the corner, then the new year, then we're into 2022. Any kind of goals or aspirations for 2022 as a year?
I think it would just have to be, I would like to sign a contract of some kind. That would be very nice. I'm not too picky where, so you know, that would be nice to get your name signed on that dotted line. But other than that, I think I really enjoy the indies in the UK. So I think my goal for 2022 would be making my mark more so in ICW and Progress. Hopefully, you know, championships in both of those would be nice. Being a women's champion both at the same time.
Absolutely.
RHIO
2 bouts again, or 3 bouts. Yeah, that would be cool.
That's it.
Bring it on.
Yeah, every championship. Come on, hand it my way. But yeah, I think just helping being a part of building the UK scene to be the one that everyone wants to go to. You know, I think everywhere has their times. Sometimes people want to go to America. Sometimes people want to go, well, a lot of the time people want to go to Japan. And that's something I'd love to do as well. That's a goal. I'd love to go to Japan. I think that would be a really cool experience for me. But yeah, I'm very focused on rebuilding the UK scene to be the one where everyone's fighting to come here and fighting to get in the ring with all of us girls. So yeah, just keep getting better, I think, is always my goal. My goal for every year is to be better than the last year. With every match, be better than the last match. So I think for me, just keep working on everything, working on myself, whether that be in the gym and, you know, in wrestling training, and whether that's my hair and the gear I'm wearing, just finding things that suit me and make sure that I'm working to my best and looking at my best. And then, yeah, just keep going up the ladder in female wrestling, particularly the UK, because like I say, I'm always very much a home person. So I do love the thought of, you know, being at the top ranks of the UK and
absolutely
having people want to come here and challenge all of us girls. That's the goal. Always
absolutely
together.
Great answer. But it's been amazing speaking to you for the last hour or so. I really, really appreciate you coming on the show. It's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you. But before we let you go, RHIO, a chance for you to throw out any social plugs. So where can my listeners and your fans, or anybody that wants to reach out to you, find out more and learn more about RHIO, get in touch with you on your socials? And I've actually got some running along the bottom of the screen there as well. So
I'm glad you've got that there. Sometimes I forget, you know, with the handles and stuff, you can't always have the one you want, especially with a shorter name like RHIO.
Exactly.
You know, it's not easy. So yeah, like it says at the bottom there, if you're on Twitter, it's RHIO 2020. Instagram is RHIO_wrestler. There are matches on YouTube. But yeah, any kind of, if you see me at any promotions, if I'm advertising anything in ICW and Progress, you can catch them on the WWE Network or on Peacock, Tidal and TNT and things like that. They have their own stream with that. I think it's like Powered TV and things like that. They've all got their individual kind of streaming sites as well. Right. And some of them still sell DVDs and stuff. So absolutely, yeah, you can always catch me on there. But yeah, please feel free.
Any merch, any T-shirts that we can go out and buy?
Oh, so T-shirts is one that's coming soon.
Good.
I think I'm very particular with what I do, from my gear to what I wear. So I want a T-shirt that I know is me. It's, you know, I've had a few people go, why don't you just like send off to a logo designer or whatever? And I'm like, but what if they don't get it right? I need it to be 100% me. And I need to know that if I'm going to have these T-shirts made, and if people are going to, you know, wear these T-shirts and think of me, I want it to be right. I want it to be bang on. I don't want to be one of those people that release 10 T-shirts in like a year. You know, yeah. I want it to be one of those T-shirts that you see at like every wrestling show. So it needs to be something that I'm like, yeah, I'm 100% happy with that. So it is in the process at the minute. I am trying to get it right, but it's not fully there, but it will be. 2022, it's coming.
There we go. The year of RHIO's T-shirt. But like I say, it's been a blast. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to speak to you over the last hour or so. Time has just absolutely flown during this interview. But I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been an amazing guest.
No, thank you for having me. I've loved it. So it's been great. So I really, really had a great time, and I would love to, you know, come back on another time in years to come. Let's see where we are then and the questions that we'll have. But no,
absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. But have a great evening, and we'll catch up with you again soon, Ray. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.